The Wanderers thought it would be just another win, and they immediately set about putting their stamp on the game. But the Gosford Red Devils weren't going to let them have it all their own way, and realised that if they kept carrying on the back foot, they would make their own errors. The pressure paid off because in the first 10 minutes, halfback Warwick Ward grabbed an intercept and charged to the line unopposed. The Devils could sense a win and threw everything into defence. Every time the carry-on forwards touched the ball, they were out-muscled. The Wanderers were looking down the barrel of their first loss in 4 years and 3 consecutive premierships. Gosford won 17-3, the remainder of their points coming from the boot of Scott Salters. Carryong officials said they were disappointed to lose, but acknowledged that it had to happen one day. Everett Stevens went to Perth determined to inspire the side not to come home 2 down. Perth's Ricky Grace wanted to make sure they didn't get too confident. By the end of the first quarter, the Falcons were up by 10 points. They doubled that by half-time. Centre Paul Kuiper managed to get his feet off the ground and lifted the whole side. The win was a complete upset and now puts the Falcons in second place on the ladder. This Saturday they will have match of the round at home when they meet competition leaders Illawarra. Unbeaten after 3 rounds of the competition, Guyra overcame some early opposition from the determined YCW side to run out winners 42-10. Despite some impressive play, YCW's fight for victory wasn't helped by an untimely leg injury to their informed second rower Glenn Smith in the second half. Guyra's attack proved to be just too strong for the Blues team, with Daly, Kleindienst, Connors, Waters, Walls and Moran all scoring tries. Jack Kleindienst's boot helped boost the Guyra total, thumping over 7 goals. In other games in Group 19, Inverell Hawks beat Glen Innes, Moree thrashed Uralla and Armidale and the Boomerangs drew at 22-all. In Group 4, West Tamworth overcame City, Gunnedah beat North Tamworth, Weewaw just sneaked in over Narrabri and Werris Creek had the bye.
Muriel Parker had a heart attack in September 1985. Last week she was admitted to the John Hunter Hospital with angina. Muriel believes her heart condition was caused by the fact she smoked a packet of cigarettes a day for 37 years. Since then, she's given the smokes away.
Well, I had a heart attack in 1985 and I thought it was a warning to give it up because I was only 57. And I thought that was enough, warning to give smoking up after having a heart attack.
Cigarettes, high blood pressure and cholesterol are all risk factors. A person is more likely to develop a heart condition if there's a history of it in the family. While you can't choose your parents, you can do a number of things to reduce your chances of having a heart attack.
First of all, smoking and stopping smoking or not starting is the most important. Detecting high blood pressure and eating the sort of prudent diet that involves a reduction in fat intake and a reduction in body weight to a normal value.
The percentage of women with heart disease is about the same as men. However, for women it usually develops later in life, often about 10 years after menopause.
I think the reason for that is that women have some protection from the female sex hormones that are present before the menopause.
Professor Peter Fletcher says there's mounting evidence that hormone replacement therapy may reduce the risk of heart disease after menopause. However, he believes large randomised trials should be conducted before a general recommendation is given for its use in fighting heart disease. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
Every 4 hours, a woman dies of breast cancer in Australia.
Breast cancer in Australia is the biggest killer of women. The highest age group that is affected by this is the women between 50 and 69.
For early detection of the cancer, more and more women are using screening services. 125 women are being screened daily at the Hunters Martyr Hospital and in 2 mobile units, but the waiting time has grown to almost 2 months.
At the moment, with screening at the Martyr, we're quite heavily booked out, and with both buses out of the area, we have a great lack of facilities for the women of the Newcastle area.
To take some of the pressure off the queue and allow 40 more women to be screened daily, 2 new units have been opened. The $130,000 machines are housed in private radiology centres at the Newcastle suburbs Charlestown and Katara.
It means that we can screen a lot more numbers and a lot more women in the Newcastle area. It means that the ladies of the Newcastle area have access to screening at a much lesser waiting time.
The mammogram. Consultations can be booked by phoning 049 211 851. Scott Bevan, NBN News.
Dr Bill Jonas, former Director of Aboriginal Education at Newcastle Uni, was special guest at today's presentation. He's now the Principal at Canberra's Australian Institute of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Studies. The undergraduate scholarships are named after Jack Doherty, founder of the Newcastle Aboriginal Support Group that aimed to break down racial barriers. $600 and a certificate were awarded to 3 recipients, art student Christopher Heckenberg and medical student David Brockman. Absent was Beverly Shipp, whose award was accepted by her lecturer. The scholarships will go towards their studies and beyond.
I hope to, once I graduate, to feed back some of the knowledge that I've gained back into the community and hopefully work at a personal level to help my people.
Because I have actually got that academic knowledge that Aboriginal people need, and so therefore I can act as an advocate for the Aboriginal community.
According to Dr Bill Jonas, a national curriculum on Aboriginal studies is being prepared. With most tertiary institutions offering the subject in some form, he believes more Aboriginal students will gain professional qualifications across the board.
Law, medicine, accounting, education, and I think once that happens, and once you increasingly have Aboriginal people providing role models for other Aboriginal people, then you're just going to get a whole explosion in the area of Aboriginal education.
Quality management is set to be the catch cry of the 90s for universities. In simple terms, it's a system where every area of operation is accountable for its productivity. The government has just set up a Quality Assurance Committee, overseeing $76 million to fund the scheme. Newcastle University is preparing its bid for a slice of the funding pie.
If we do reasonably well, we might hope to get $1 million. If we do better, we might hope to get $2.5 million from it. So that is very considerable.
According to Vice-Chancellor Professor Raoul Mortley, the money will go towards fixing shortcomings or problems. These would be identified by representatives from various areas.
Professor Mortley says under the new scheme he's prepared for a barrage of complaints about how the university is run. But at the same time, performance levels of both students and the academic staff will also come under scrutiny.
The academic staff also will be having to answer to the students for the way in which they do their work, and we basically have to know whether, as university educators, we are doing our job well.
The matter is to go before the Student Representative Council and the University Senate for consideration. Melinda Smith, NBN News. Heading this steering committee is Principal of Jules Primary School, Doug Saxon. The school is in the process of forming a council, which will involve representatives from the teaching staff, parents and the community. Of the Hunter's 265 schools, 109 now operate with the help of a council.
And many issues arise regarding curriculum programs and other things in schools that everybody needs to be consulted about. If we have everybody's cooperation and people are consulted, then we're obviously going to have a very good school.
According to Doug Saxon, despite the council's contribution to wider concerns, the day-to-day running of the school is the principal's responsibility.
School councils do not manage the school. School councils are to do with the governance. The management of the school rests solely with the principal and the delegated officers, the teachers in the school.
The needs of 15,000 public tenants throughout the Hunter and New England areas are coordinated through this Department of Housing office in Newcastle. But member for Wallsend John Mills says he understands under planned restructuring of the department, the regional office could be moved from Newcastle to Coffs Harbour.
Seems crazy to me in a management sense that you take the office away from the main base of clients here in Newcastle and the Hunter, with a population of just short of 500,000, to a city up the coast, which has a population 1/10 of that.
Mr Mills says in the past 2 years, the Labor-dominated Hunter has lost the regional offices of the RTA, the Department of Community Services and the Forestry Commission to National Party areas. And he believes if the Department of Housing goes as well, it will cost 40 jobs and $4 million annually for Newcastle.
And it's the blatant party politicking nature of this that really gets me angry.
A departmental overhaul has been the subject of the recent Mant report and a discussion paper released today. A department spokesman says there are no plans to close the Newcastle office, nor does the discussion paper make any recommendations as to where the regional offices should be relocated. The spokesman says that's a matter for future talks. The Newcastle staff apparently remain unconvinced. A meeting was held this afternoon where the mood was described as one full of concern for the workers' future. Scott Bevan, NBN News.
Police were called to Newcastle's Market Square Mall just before 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. A man wielding two swords was reported to be slashing at customers in this men's giftware store. Claiming he was Conan the Barbarian, the man allegedly told the female sales assistant he was her protector. Injured in the incident, a 21-year-old man suffering cuts to his back and a 15-year-old student with cuts to his ear and leg. Police arrested Peter Parker from Narromine near Dubbo. He was later charged with 2 counts of malicious wounding and 2 counts of assault occasioning actual bodily harm. Today, police returned a metre-long ornamental sword and a 30-centimetre dagger to the store. Owner Keith Ferner says he'll be enforcing tighter security measures.
We've secured the swords by a chain. That's only a temporary measure. We're actually moving premises right next door here in Market Square, and within the new shop I'm going to have a lockable glass display and all the swords will be behind that.
Peter David Parker appeared in Newcastle local court this morning. The matter was adjourned until early next week. The 38-year-old was remanded in custody for psychiatric evaluation. Melinda Smith, NBN News.
Once again, a star attraction at Steamfest will be 3801, but the 50-year-old veteran is an expensive drawcard. With a $25,000 weekend charge to steam the loco from Sydney to Maitland, organisers may now have an alternative.
In Steamfest 1994, we will be running these 2 locomotives of ours with carriages on the South Maitland Railway line, which at the moment is totally a coal line.
Using its restored showpieces, numbers 10 and 18 steam locos, the training company also plans to make regular tourist trips to outlying areas. And while 3801 is a Steamfest sentimental favourite, her price tag may one day be too high.
If costs become a problem, yes, this would provide a great steam factor in Maitland's preeminent festival.
Attracting crowds of up to 40,000, Steamfest organisers say enthusiasts should prepare for a full weekend of festivities.
They can expect a weekend of steam, going back to the old era when they ride on the steam train and they get the soot on their face and all those bits of dust in their eyes. But they can also expect a great carnival atmosphere, and there'll be lots and lots of entertainment for them.
Today's competition marked the third and final day of the $6,000 event. Attracting 28 teams from across the Hunter, competitors played a total of 5 games of 21 ends each, and there were some worthy opponents. Former Australian singles title holder Cess Liddell carried the flag for the Maitland City team, now holding the current state and district pennant titles. Former Commonwealth and now state representative Dennis Dalton did his bit for the East Maitland side, but to no avail. Led by 21-year-old skipper Simon Lack, the Newcastle representative took his Waratah team to the top of the prize-winning ladder, clinching $700 apiece. The Raymond Terrace teams took second and third places. Organisers say the event was such a success, they plan to hold it again next year.
Rodney Howe and Adam Muir, the new men of steel in the Knights camp. The pair are best of mates and, according to coach David Waite, best suited to continue the Knights' hard work in the forwards. Against Illawarra, they slipped into the game plan without a hitch when injuries forced Harrigan and Sargent to leave early.
3 grades play pretty much the similar sort of football, so yeah, it wasn't too bad. You need a helping hand here and there.
The chance to play first grade so early in their careers doesn't come along every day, and they realise the opportunity they've been given.
Every young fella's dream is to stay in first grade, and hopefully I can try and secure a spot. Yeah.
The honour of being named in the team's starting lineup hasn't been lost on their families either.
My grandma's been ringing up all the time and giving me best wishes, so it's been really good, yeah.
The team left Marathon Stadium a few hours ago and will stay in Sydney overnight to make sure they only have a short trip over to Cogra tomorrow afternoon.
The doors of opportunity opened earlier this year for GPs when the Demonstration Practice Grants program took healthcare ideas from the drawing board into the communities. 450 GPs are operating under the newly formed Hunter Division of General Practitioners, awarded $300,000 for various initiatives.
It's used for getting research assistants, for example, to help out with the project, or there's another one from the Central Coast where they're looking at speech difficulties in children, so employing a speech pathologist where perhaps there wasn't one before, health promotion people to get health promotion out to geriatrics.
At Port Stephens today, different ideas were assessed and evaluated. Already next year's strategy is in place, funding applications totalling $1 million. GPs believe the time has come for the family doctor to take a firmer stand in the direction of community health care.
I think there's an enormous move in health at the moment. It's a revolution of shifting healthcare back out to where people actually live. And where people live, the nearest doctor is their GP, and we're very keen to be involved in that.
you.
The fashion statement at the Newcastle foreshore today may have been leather, but this gathering of 300 bikers showed that under those jackets beat hearts of gold. Riders from throughout the Hunter, Central and North Coasts travelled from blacksmiths in Lake Macquarie to Newcastle with loads of tinned food and blankets for the Salvation Army. The day was organised by 3 bike clubs to help recession victims ride out the rough times.
This is the first year we've run the event and we intend to run it annually.
Container loads of food were collected and a van was filled with blankets, all ready for the Sallies to distribute to the needy. Scott Bevan, NBN News.
The Cup is the main event on the autumn calendar, and guess who had a few dollars on the winner? The 4-year-old mare Triple Agent across the line first, and Ray Deneen presented the trophy. Chris Barth also had a bet in her Superfecta race, and it won as well. Chris presented the trophy to Inspector Gadget's owner and set his heart aflutter. After being kept scoreless last week for the first time in his NBL career, Al Green made sure it wasn't going to happen again. The entertainment centre was packed and the crowd's enthusiasm rubbed off on Everett Stevens. Peter Harvey must have felt like Moses when the defence just opened up before him. Terry Dozier was in brilliant form, snapping in baskets from all over the court, but Harvey was in everything. At one point he fell heavily with Matt Flynn and seconds later played an important role in setting up a Dozier slam dunk. Not long after, Illawarra's Melvin Thomas ended up exactly the way his team was playing. He limped off with a suspected back injury. Not even the Hawks' star shooters could turn the tide. Spurred on by the crowd, the Falcons ran away with the game to finish up 100-75.